In this video, we're going to continue the conversation that I had with my good friend Jose at his new 14-unit apartment building in the city of Hamilton, Ontario. If you haven't watched the first video already, basically my friend Jose purchased this 14-unit apartment building in the city of Hamilton for $2.3 million. Some of the basic numbers regarding it, he had to come up with a 35% down payment. He went to a private lender who offered him a 5.5% interest mortgage, and his cap rate or capitalization rate on his purchase price was only 3.5%. That's the numbers to start with. And in this video, we dive into some of the expenses. He's estimating to put in about $300,000 in renovations to turn over each of these units. He expects to increase the total income of this building by close to 100%. So basically doubling it in the next 2 to 3 years. And it's fascinating when it comes to the numbers of a multi-unit building, it seems as almost every expense has a zero added to it compared to the regular residential investments that I focus on. So when it comes to like a roof replacement is in this case $60,000 instead of like $6,000. The overall closing cost in his case was $85,000 versus for us we typically look at maybe $8,500. So it's very interesting to see these numbers, and definitely some of the lessons here are, if you're interested in multifamily investing, you want to create a track record, you want to get experience with the smaller residential investments, or at least have some deep pockets behind you before jumping into the multifamily, because you don't want to stretch to your last dollar to buy one of these buildings. You need to have reserves to cover many of these expenses, both expected and unexpected, in order to do this successfully. So let's dive right into the video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. And if you like this type of video, please let me know. I'll definitely follow up with Jose and try to film more videos on his journey with these type of buildings, as well as other investors I know involved in this type of investing. Until next time. So talk to us about that strategy in terms of turning over the units of the building. What is the
idea? There's multiple different, like for example, we had a superintendent here, which we no longer are keeping. So that's another second unit that we're going to get vacant. The son of the superintendent also lives in the building, so we're going to get probably that vacant as well.
Okay.
So slowly over time, we're going to offer some incentives for them to, basically cash flow keys.
Yeah.
So that will help. Some of them, they may not take the deal, so we are going to go through some extensive renovations, so we will hire paralegals to help us with that process.
Got it. Yeah, because that's one of the bigger challenges with these type of deals, right? Mm-hmm. You need to navigate everything else we've discussed to this point, but also once you buy the property, you can't just ask people to leave. They have the right to stay, so you need to offer an incentive, come to an agreement that works for them in order. And I guess going back to cash for keys, there's a price everyone's willing to leave at some point.
I mean, most people would take the deal. Some people may not, but that's fine.
And it's okay if it takes a couple of years,
we'll try to help them as much as possible, help with their moving costs. Maybe try to help them find another suitable place or give some recommendations. So we want to try to solve their problem. It's not just give you the cash and leave. So we'll try to be as helpful as possible in that process, so that kind of a win-win for everybody.
Got it.
But some people may not want to go through the renovations.
Living in a building that's under renovation.
There's going to be, we're going to be changing the boilers. We have to drain certain heaters to change that. So there's going to be some interruption. We're going to have to upgrade some electrical. Some of the units are, they have some mold that we're going to have to. It's minor stuff, but we're going to have to convince them to. We can't make those repairs in the bathroom.
They're living there.
The bathroom while they're living there.
So
we want it to be a win-win, definitely.
Got it. Is there anywhere else in the building we can go check out, like the?
Yeah, I can take you to the boiler room.
Okay.
And the electrical room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we check it out?
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. 30-year-old.
Yeah. So this is the. There are two boilers in here. 300,000 and 300,000, 600,000 BTU.
Oh wow.
But you only need really one $300,000 BTU furnace or boiler is enough for the building. But because this is so inefficient, it requires two. So
what's the budget for the replacement on this one?
around 20,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not too. I mean, it's more than our typical furnace systems, but
Yeah.
it's not 14 times the cost of what we put in a regular home, right?
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
you get some, I guess, the efficiency from the scale, right?
That's right.
Got it.
I mean, you can get a medium efficiency boiler or a high efficiency boiler.
So there's just the one tank for the entire building right now?
Yeah.
So far, do you see any issue with that? Like, is it?
Yeah, it seems to be no complaints from the tenants.
Yeah, that's good. By upgrading this, I assume the new unit is not going to take up this much space.
Yeah, we're gonna put additional storage here,
Okay.
which is gonna be like extra for a lot because we have so much construction going on. We're gonna
True.
make some shelves and
Keep
keep that stuff. You know.
Okay. In terms of location, so we're on Mohawk Road, but this is specifically across the street from a Walmart. The neighbor is a larger apartment building, but you can see that they've upgraded. So there's definitely interest for owners who are upgrading these buildings, and
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's they're getting. I'm sure they're getting some premium rents from upgrading all their units. But just to give you an idea, this one was, if I'm not mistaken, 190,000 per unit. It was sold at
okay.
just about 3 years ago or so.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Do you know if it was already upgraded when?
Yeah, it was already
Okay.
upgraded.
Okay, that's good. So that's a direct comparable,
Yeah,
and that was 3 years ago.
that was 3
And
years
prices
ago,
have-
and the rents obviously have shot up a lot more
Since
in the
then.
last 3 years.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe they're getting about 1,500 or so.
Per unit?
Yeah, per unit.
Okay, good. No, this is exciting. You've
Yeah. This was a long time coming, but I kind of like getting into these bigger buildings now.
yeah.
It takes a little bit longer, but it's a bit larger profit margins,
Yeah.
at a time. So my goal is to buy about 2 buildings like these every year,
Okay.
and so I'll have almost like recycling that capital and buying bigger ones or more buildings like that.
Good stuff. So for the investor thinking about this type of building as their
Yeah.
investment target,
Yeah.
in terms of expectations, so once all is said and done, the goal is to pull out your capital.
Yeah.
From a cash flow standpoint, is there going to be a significant cash flow once you pull out your capital, or what are your numbers approximately?
Yeah, there will be definitely a lot more cash flow once we refinance,
Okay.
because we're the lender is only going to go
Based on the income.
on those numbers,
True.
right? So there will be a lot more cash flow than it is now. You know.
But I mean, in terms of context, right? Like, you're talking about creating close to $1 million worth of value in the building
Yeah.
by these upgrades, by all the work.
Yeah.
Your cash flow after all is said and done is going to be what? 20, 30, maybe 40,000 a year?
Cash flow? Yeah, approximately, maybe around 50,000. or
Around
so.
50,000?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really good for any one property, and it's basically like an income for most most people.
Yeah.
But in comparison, the value you've created through this is going to be a bigger driving force. I guess over time the income will start adding
for
up.
us the main goal is to take approximately 30% of that equity out when we refinance and buy another building.
Yeah.
So And then we obviously keep this existing building. It's the same BRRRR strategy on, on a bigger deal.
That's right.
And also larger profits because of the size of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, generally speaking, in terms of property management, buildings are a lot easier to manage.
Yeah.
You've got everything under one roof, you know, and because these are concrete construction, they're solid.
Yeah.
Right. There's no noise issues. We've got proper parking and you know, these boiler systems and rad systems, they're super tough.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they're lasting for like 30 plus years. And I can probably still go on for another 5 years without changing it. But it's because I got to prove to the bank that I've reduced my expenses. Like it's based on your net income.
That's right. Yeah.
So it makes sense for me to change it.
Yeah. So you were talking, once all is said and done, you're hoping to go to an A lender, but actually get it CMHC insured.
Yeah.
So maybe for someone who doesn't understand, most people, when they think of CMHC insured mortgages, they think of like a first-time buyer 5%.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is something completely different, but it's available for apartment buildings, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So CMHC, you know, when you refinance, you can go through CMHC. Most A lenders want to work with CMHC because it's more protection for them, and your rates are super low, like under 2%. So you know your debt, your mortgage payments go down significantly.
Yeah.
You're basically borrowing very cheap money.
Yeah.
In order for you to keep this building, you know, and then we're gonna have probably a 5-year term, and then I'll have a longer term time frame for refinance after that.
Yeah, they can go up to, I believe, 40 years potentially, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah. So that's very interesting, because what most residential investors experience is when they buy their personal home, the interest rates are low.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, when they're buying investment properties like duplex, triplex, fourplex, the banks start charging them a little bit more interest.
Yeah.
When it comes to the other end of the spectrum with a deal like this, once you go through all the work, increase the income, there's now potential to get rates as low as buying your personal home in terms of the interest rates, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's super low. I couldn't believe it when I first heard about it.
Yeah.
But it's not easy to qualify because you got to have that income to support that.
Yeah.
Because CMHC is a little bit more conservative than another bank would be.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And potentially you're leaving a bit more capital in the building.
Yeah. You're not going to squeeze out every single dollar.
That's right. Yeah.
But that's fine. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a trade-off, right? If you can pull.
But you're going to save on the interest rate.
Yeah.
Right.
And improve the cash flow as a result.
Yeah, improve the cash flow as well. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, man. This is a really solid step. So you've already said when the camera cut out a little bit there. So you're in talks with the neighbor potentially to buy the building next door.
Yeah.
In a couple of years.
This is it's a larger building.
You want to walk?
26 unit building, and it's you know, you got to build long-term relationship with the owners.
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna get the deals for multifamily or any commercial property. Because you know there's a time frame for everything, and some people, you know, there isn't a lot of turnover. People don't sell in 5 years. They sell in 10, 20, 30. Some never sell. They pass it on to their next generation.
That's right.
You know, it's kind of like a legacy to leave behind. So that's why it's such a, you know, I think of it that myself, is leaving this as a legacy for my kids, you know?
True. Yeah. So great location. You have Walmart next door. Yeah. So what's your time frame on this building? So 2 to 3 years you want to pull out your capital, but this is the type of property that, in your mind, do you see yourself selling it at any point, or?
No, it's it's going to be, you know, I wouldn't say never sell, but at least minimum a 10-year hold period.
Okay.
You know, I may decide to upgrade to a larger building.
Yeah. And maybe at that point sell this to use the funds.
Yeah, exactly.
But I guess this is where, like you were saying, the numbers can really get amplified, right? Because if you own this building, all said and done at 3.3, right? If the values double over 10 years, not necessarily just on a percentage basis, but like a real dollar amount, that amount of money has a more meaningful, like, it moves the needle.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Versus your rate of return on like a residential property may be higher in some cases, but it may not move the needle as much just by buying a single residential property, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it doesn't take too many of these to really move the needle.
Yeah, exactly. Once you acquire a few of them, you know, it's like I said, it's very easy to manage, and you know, once you get good quality systems and good quality people in there, the tenants, you know, it's almost a passive investment. You know, not quite, but yeah.
Well, the first 2-3 years is anything but passive, right?
Exactly. You're going to be very active in the first 2 years.
Yeah.
But once you turn it around, it's going to be fruitful.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I would say a lot of new investors need to wrap their heads with is it's gonna feel like you're overpaying when you are buying it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make too much financial sense from a strict on purchase.
Yeah.
You know, so on purchase, I felt like I overpaid. But it's just no other way to get by that. Because every single deal that I've looked at, and I've shopped around for actively for at least close to a year. You know, inactively maybe close to 1.5 years before finding this.
Yeah.
So a lot of properties are in not great locations, or they need a lot more work, or I wanted to stay anything above 12 units. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think you got a great one because you were on the Hamilton Mountain. We're in like a good area of town, and even like generally speaking with multis, you're usually not in the best neighborhoods of the city, but this building you're able to stay within the nicer parts of Hamilton, right?
Yeah,
so,
I was very, very determined to find the right property, and that's why it took so long. But you know, everything has to align. Your capital has to align with it.
Yeah.
And you know, generally speaking, this was about almost 4 months closing time. So there's a lot more due diligence involved. But I mean, it's pretty straightforward in most sense.
For context, did you get a home inspection on this property when you bought it?
Yeah.
What is the cost of home inspection on a 14-unit building?
It's around $1,500.
Okay.
It wasn't
not too bad.
Yeah. So some may charge more.
Yeah.
But depends on they have to be a more experienced in commercial, because you're looking at more boiler systems, and roofs are very different among multifamily. The flat roofs. This particular one is an inverted roof with gravel.
Okay.
So some are just asphalt roofs with 3-ply membrane.
Yeah.
But this is a very old roof.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the budget again to redo the roof on this one?
So when it comes time to replacing the whole thing, it's going to cost us $60,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we don't have to do it right away.
Yeah.
We do more maintenance work on it. But these types of roof last, 30, 40 years.
Okay. Wow. But yeah, it shows clearly that this is not like, you don't want to stretch to your last dollar to buy one of these buildings.
No,
because
absolutely not. You gotta come with cash reserves on a multi.
Yeah.
And that's why it's definitely not a strategy I would recommend for people starting off.
Yeah.
Or or you got to have a lot of capital partners that
Yeah.
understand what you're doing, and this is a long-term play.
Yeah. Did you buy this with any partners, or is this?
This is not with any partners, but they're more private
Like a private loan?
private loans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
But majority of it was our own,
Your own capital.
capital. Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff.
But yeah, we're looking to buy more buildings, so we are looking for capital partners to buy those. But it's going to be the same formula
Yeah.
we're going to apply for our next one.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Other than that, any surprises for these buildings in due diligence or in so far? Like anything unexpected or something you learned that you didn't know before starting?
Not really. I mean, in terms of all the closing costs, it's a bit of a surprise because your legal fees are much higher, and you're paying land transfer tax a huge amount, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
almost $50,000 in land transfer tax alone,
Dang.
right?
That's like half a down payment.
And and you're looking at all everything, the appraisals, it's like a lot more.
Yeah.
for
What
each.
was your closing cost in total? Probably close to 100 grand?
Yeah, it was I think around 85 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
85,000.
It's almost like 10%.
Because you got to pay also. I forgot to mention lender fees
Yeah.
and broker fees. On commercial, no matter what, you're gonna pay lender fees,
Yeah.
even if you're going with an A lender. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
But it's all, I guess the important thing is to keep the big picture, right? Like at the end of the day, you're able to create that much more value in a larger asset you're
Yes.
going to hold for 10 years. So this is the evolution of your own investing,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Like if you said like 3 to 5 years ago, I would not be ready for this.
that's right.
Especially with the substantial amount of capital required. So and you got to have some reserves for all the turnover and
Yeah.
all the maintenance.
Yeah, exactly. So your income on this building already is half of its potential.
Yeah.
And that's going to go down as this project goes, because you're going to have that vacancies when you buy out leases.
Yeah.
You're going to be renovating. You're going to be putting money into the building
Yes.
for all those renovations.
Yep.
And it's not like a duplex conversion where you may refinance it in 3 or 6 months. You have
Yeah.
to wait 2 to 3 years, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
you almost need to have all of the funds ready or have access to it along
Yep.
the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a longer term time frame,
Yeah,
but in return you get the bigger profits.
that's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's what kind of attracted me to multifamily, and I'm kind of hooked on it now, and I want to get looking to buy another one by the end of this year.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this is really good. I think it's good because it also gives people perspective, right? There's definitely a lot of value in it, but it's not for the faint of heart. It's not for the beginner investor necessarily.
No, absolutely not. Like, especially with the demand for multis, you have to pay a premium price. You gotta have that capital ready to go, and because even lending on multifamily is not easy, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have a track record. You gotta have that, prove that you have that capital to implement this plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's good to see because most of my clients are doing the duplex conversions.
Yeah.
This shows that, of course, they're going to benefit from those conversions, but the experience they build dealing with contractors, dealing with renovations, dealing with tenants,
Yes.
there is a next stage if they want to go this route, if they want to scale up. All of that experience now counts for something with the lenders, and they also know how to, at least the basics of what they're going to go through. Just all the numbers have an extra zero next to it, right?
Exactly.
Both in cost, in purchase price.
Yeah, 100%. It's the BRRRR strategy, the duplex conversions. That's a solid experience that you're gaining.
Yeah.
That's why I still continue to do that, because the numbers still make sense. It gives us that faster turnaround of the capital in cash, but you know, this is just kind of a stepping stone towards doing some much bigger deals.
Yeah.
You know, in the future. So next one is going to be a 24 unit in the next year. You know.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Is there a number? So I guess when it came to this building, and even for the subsequent buildings, do you have a specific goal you're targeting now? Is there, I guess, what is driving you to? It's a lot of work, right? Like this is not easy by any means, right? And you've already built a considerable portfolio with your duplexes. What's pushing you now to take this plunge and to continue to grow? What keeps driving you?
Yeah, you know, it's the scale, right? Like I can, you know, I can't do 10 duplex conversions at once, right?
Yeah.
I could, but you know, that would involve a lot more work. Whereas everything under one roof is slightly easier to manage.
Yeah.
And because of the financing is, you know, in the qualification is easier,
Yes.
but not necessarily, you know, obviously more capital intensive. So it's just, we wanted to scale our portfolio,
Okay.
you know, and that's why the next logical step was buying a multi. You know, and that multiplication factor, because you know, in 2 years I'm gonna get an extra $1 million. We'll buy a much bigger building, or you know, from that capital,
Yeah.
and repeat the process, you know.
Awesome.
And then we drag those on for a long-term buy and hold strategy.
Yeah.
You know?
Awesome. Yeah, because these type of deals, you're no longer stuck to residential mortgage limits.
Yes.
Like once you get into this level, banks no longer care if you have a certain number of mortgages. They're just looking at, are your ratios good? Are the buildings ratios
yes,
good?
Exactly.
And as long as you have the capital, you can continue to buy.
Yeah.
You may not get residential rates on the purchase, loan to values, but you can still continue to scale. And then with CMHC, you may even get those rates back, right? So
yeah, and that's the good point you brought up, is the debt coverage ratio on a multifamily. You're looking at a minimum of 1.1, right? So with CMHC, they may even go up to 1.2.
yeah,
You know, don't quote me on that. So that's why, you know, the loan to value on this was a lot less than I expected, but it's fine.
yeah,
You know, just to get our hands on it, it was extra cash to come up with.
yeah.
But you know, we're gonna make it work.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah, man. This is really good. You can see all the parking that's available on this side here. And you were mentioning even before that you have a good amount of land on this property, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a future potential to build a third or fourth story. You know, at some point maybe the cost will make sense. Maybe in 10 years that may be feasible, and because the land value's gone up so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you have, 7 units per level.
Yeah.
So if you build another level, 7 more units, new construction, you can bring in, call it 70 grand extra income potentially.
Yeah.
Maybe,
for sure.
and then that's literally like another $1.5 million of value.
Yeah.
And you know you can go get that from a bank. It's just, does the construction cost match that?
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. Yeah, and in some cases it may, but I'll rather buy another building instead, right?
Yeah, get more land, get
Yeah.
another building, and repeat the process. Good stuff.
So yeah, the ratio on like per unit cost to the rent that you're getting now is starting to make sense, right? Because you're getting like almost a 10% rent to purchase price per unit ratio. Right?
Interesting. Okay.
So like we're gonna rent these for about $1,600, $1,700, and we're buying it for that price. Obviously, you're not factoring that extra $25,000
For the
for the
renovation, yeah.
renovations.
But
But yeah, approximately.
It's interesting, right? Because you're into it, even all said and done, for about $220 per unit. So 2 of those would be around $440. The duplex conversions we're doing now, we're in it for close to $500, if not $550, $600, right?
Yeah.
Like even in cities like Welland, in Hamilton, you're likely in it for $600.
Yeah.
So your cost per unit has come down by almost $80 grand by upgrading.
Yes.
So that's interesting. So you're getting a bit of a deal almost, right? But
Yeah, yeah. It's, you know, we always feel like we're overpaying, but it is what it is. You know, it's. I think in the next 2 years, I probably won't feel as bad.
yeah. Well, probably the guy who sold it to you thought he overpaid when he bought it for
Yeah.
$800, right?
Yeah, I know.
Did he
But-
tell you what he's planning on doing once he's selling this? Is he retiring or?
Yeah, this was the only property that they owned.
Okay.
They, you know, they were probably like a few years from retirement.
Okay.
Not super old either, but they weren't very sophisticated in terms of
Yeah.
investors. You know,
Yeah.
so they weren't. It just wasn't their full-time job.
Yeah.
Becoming investors. They had other jobs. This was just more of
A side
a
investment.
side investment, which they did really well with, even though they didn't do much to the building. You know,
Interesting.
but that's kind of an opportunity for us to negotiate
Yeah.
and kind of encourage them to sell.
Yeah.
You know, because we're always buying based on future potential.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you know? Did they buy it off market, or when they bought it, was it just an MLS? deal?
probably on the market now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at that time, it was probably a much easier environment to buy buildings.
Yeah. You know what? 5-10 years ago, there was a lot more turnover on these types of buildings.
Yeah.
Right. But now, everybody wants to hang on to them
Yeah.
because they're like they're cash cows for them.
Yeah.
Right. And not too many people want to sell.
Yeah.
Or whoever wants to sell, they're
Gets to ask
asking.
whatever they
they're
want,
asking for ridiculous prices, and some people are paying for it.
Yeah.
Like a building like this, as is, people are paying $200,000 per door.
Yeah.
You know. So I got a slight discount, but you know, so I'm happy about that. You know, in comparison. Yeah.
True. True.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So is it built on a concrete slab, or what's the
Yeah,
construction?
it's a slab on grade.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And how old is this building?
Built in the 60s.
60s. Okay.
Yeah.
Not too bad. Around 60. Yeah, 60 years old now.
Yeah.
That's decent. So how are you gonna celebrate once you complete the turnover and do everything?
Buy another building. You know. We'll be once we get our CMHC loan approved.
Go on a vacation?
Yeah, it's gonna be very, very, practically cheap money.
Yeah.
Where our cash flow should go up, and
Yeah.
it's definitely a big paycheck at that time.
Awesome.
You know?
Yeah. No, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy though, right? Like if you can get a mortgage on this place, call it in excess of 2 million at like 2% at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
Inflation is like 2%. So that money is almost free.
Yeah. Exactly. That's why it's one of the big advantages of multi is the financing aspect of it, as well, right?
Because if you were to go to a bank and ask them for a $2 million loan, even to buy a personal home is not that easy, right? But on something like this, because of the income it generates,
Yeah.
you're able to take that much leverage, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
yeah, man, I'm excited for you. This is a big step, and it sounds like you have a few more deals cooking in the works. So
Yeah, you know what? Once you kind of get into this, in this world, like the multifamily world or commercial, you start networking with brokers and build relationship with different owners, and because now that you can show them, hey, like I own this building on this street, they're more likely to take you more seriously.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
And they know that you have the capacity to close,
Yeah.
and you're not wasting their time.
Yeah.
You know?
This particular deal, though, you knew the owner directly, so you didn't go through realtors?
No, this one was through a broker, yeah.
It was through a broker?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that conversation like? Did he call you and tell you, hey, I have a client thinking of selling, do you want to buy, or what did that look like?
Yeah, he said that, there's somebody's agreed to sell their building.
Okay.
And this is the price we're looking for.
Okay.
Are you able to match that price?
Okay.
Right? So unfortunately on this particular one, there wasn't much of much negotiation room.
Okay.
They basically was like, this price, take it or leave it. And we thought originally that we were going to get potential slight reduction on the price, but the sellers were extremely difficult to, they wouldn't budge,
Got it. And so this is interesting because you are a real estate agent as well. You have your real estate license, but on a deal like this, essentially, I'm assuming you didn't take a commission.
No,
you just let him double end the deal.
That's right, yeah.
Because the goal was no longer to create an income as a realtor. It was you're a buyer of investment properties. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just extra incentive for the agent to. We're gonna do future business together, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit more work involved because they have to contact all these building owners and build that personal relationship. So it's not just something they're picking off MLS.
That's right.
So they, in a way, they deserve that to double end the deal.
And from your perspective, you may not have got this deal
if
it
it wasn't
wasn't
for him.
Yeah.
For sure. Like that's 100%.
Yeah.
Super job with bringing this deal, and not every broker is really good. Some are, some aren't. But a couple, they bring deals to you, and then you run your numbers, you do your due diligence, and if it makes sense to you, you do it based on your expectations.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So if someone has a building and wants to contact you for you to buy it.
I'm definitely interested in buying more buildings, and so we have the track record now to close on these buildings, and if the right opportunity came, we'd be willing to take a look at it, especially in Hamilton.
Awesome. So I guess comment in the video below, and then we'll get you in touch with Jose here.
For sure. If you got any deals, let me know.
Awesome. Any last words of advice, or any last for someone maybe who has experience with residential investments that wants to take the plunge into something like this? What would be your advice to them? Where should they start? What's the most important things that they should be doing?
Yeah, you know what? Take it step by step, right? You don't have to buy a multifamily building right away. Go through some of the other strategies, residential, get familiar with the BRRRR strategy, do some duplex conversions, and then move into something that multifamily. And you may not have to buy a bigger building like this. You may want to start with a 6-plex or a 9, and then build yourself up, get familiar with it, So don't be in a rush. Be patient to find the right opportunity. And don't overpay for it. It's gonna feel like you're overpaying, but regardless, you don't want to pay a ridiculous price that is even getting a B lender to finance it is going to be difficult.
That's right. I mean? Yeah, that's right. All right, awesome.
All right, thanks.